Welcome to Blowing Solutions Wide Open, where we're talking about all things spiritual, as well as creating new systems in the area of healthcare, finance, government, education, new environmental practices, and anything that helps the planet or helps humanity. My name is Addie, and I want to give a warm welcome to my guest. His name is Ray Crist. Ray is the founder of Jaguar Path School of Shamanism. He's traveled to Peru and is an apprentice to two shamans. He's created the unique online training in energy healing called and Peruvian shamanism. Welcome, Ray. I feel like you probably have quite a story as to how you got to where you're at, and I'd love to hear it. So I'm just going to let you take it from here and kind of share with everybody how you got to where what you're doing.
No, thank you, Addie. It's such a pleasure to be here and an honor. Thank you so much for having me on.
Glad to.
Well, I can go, it depends on how much time we have. I can tell you the short version of the story and the long version.
We've got well, for the first one, we've got 30 minutes, but you can always do a part two. So let us have it.
I will start. I'll give you a little bit of the background of how things unfolded in my life and how I found myself here. And I will try to keep it short and allow some space for questions because I know that you know better what your audience wants to know. You're the one asking the questions for them. I'll say this, that I was a fashion and advertisement photographer in Athens, Greece. And my claim to fame was Vogue covers and advertisements. I was a very successful photographer. But at age 39, I was stopped on my track. I got a stage 4 cancer diagnosis with the first impression that what I was told by the doctors that I had about 3 months to live and that there was nothing I could do
Wow.
to save myself, that it was just like the way that things looked, characteristically, they said it was a mess. It was a bilateral renal carcinoma, which means that cancer had started from the kidneys and then had spread out. Of course, as anyone, when you're given such I'm going to call it sentence, and you realize that you've come to the end of your life, a lot of very interesting things happen when you come to that point. And one of the first things, of course, that happen is like, of course, things start falling apart. Fear comes up, sadness comes up, regrets come up. It's just you automatically, wanting or not wanting, you revise your whole life. You like what was up for me was like the sensation is, well, what have I done? And up to that day or to the previous day, being a very successful photographer and having run such a successful, we want to say, career, seemed to be really cool and really important and amazing for me. But at that moment, life was measured in something else.
Yeah.
You know, how worthwhile was it humanly? And was it to my heart and to my soul what I had done? And I had my whole, like, everything drop. It's just like, no, this is not what I was supposed to be doing. This is not what I came to life for. So when I got that diagnosis, it was really interesting. In the meditations, in the hours of walking, to think, to figure things out, to find some clarity, to escape a space of panic that was coming up for me several times a day. I realized that in my youth, actually when I was 16, my sister had given me this book of this author called Carlos Castaneda. I don't know if you know Carlos Castaneda. Carlos Castaneda was an anthropologist from UCLA, and when he wrote his dissertation in 1968, he wrote a dissertation on medicinal plants and went from from California to Mexico and found a medicine man. And these medicine men are called sorcerers in Mexico, or naguals in the specific tradition. So he met this guy named Don Juan Matus. And Carlos Castaneda didn't only end up writing his dissertation, he ended up writing 16 books until the end of his life, I think around 1986. And I, as a young man, a young fellow at 16 and 17 and 18 until my 20s, I read all his books, and all his books were just fascinating to me about these energy people, these men and women of power that could see the energy of the person, that could read if you're sick or if you're not, that could heal, that could do all sorts of wild things the way at least Carlos Castaneda presented them. And I had thought to myself when I was 16, it's just like, wow, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and find a shaman, a sorcerer, and I will know things about energy and this world and the spirit world, and I will become that. And of course, that's what I was saying at 16, but by the time I was 18 and I got my first motorcycle and a first camera, and I was in cinematography school and then photography school, this world, and especially of photography and cinematography, really just captivated me, and I just went through. And the books that I was reading at that point on were almost like reading literature. Nonetheless, I realized that it wasn't just literature, and that it was what I would have, if I could choose again to do my life and have done it differently, and perhaps in a way that I would had taken a path that would not lead me to dying so young, I would have chosen to go and apprentice with shamans and sorcerers, and any name you want to give to them. So I quickly decided that I wanted a second opinion from other hospitals, and I came back to the United States. I went to Johns Hopkins. At Johns Hopkins, after they did my first exams, MRIs and CAT scans, when I walked into the room, the doctor there, who was also the head of the department, raised his hands and said, "I'm really sorry." And I said, "Well, is there nothing I can do?" He said, "You should take care of your affairs." Now, mind you, I had been given 3 months to live from the first hospital. I went for the second opinion and moved to go to Johns Hopkins as a well-known hospital about a year later, so we're still alive.
Right.
And with that, I said, okay, thank you very much. I'm thinking to myself that, I've lived a year and I'm going to live more. I'm not buying into this. There was a thought, am I totally being in denial here? Or is this how a person that's in denial feels? Because it just didn't ring true that that's what's happening to me. And maybe that's how everyone feels. Maybe that is the definition of denial. When you have one of the best hospitals of the world tell you this is it, or a second hospital. I'll fast forward and I'll say that a couple of weeks later, they called me back from Johns Hopkins and they asked me if I was interested to participate in a study in the NIH. They found my case interesting because I had been diagnosed a year earlier. I had done nothing as far as Western medicine is concerned around it. So they just wanted it. And I thought to myself, okay, so if this is the end, I may as well be at least a help to society by having participated in this cancer study. So maybe this is my gift to the world before I leave. In 2005, in January 2005, I had a laparoscopic surgery in National Institute of Health in the NIH in Washington, and gave up my right kidney. And soon after, in a few months after, I went down and traveled through Peru. And as I traveled through Peru, I met a lot of shamans. I came to understand that my impression as a Western man of shamanism being something that's almost extinct, rare, or difficult to be found at all, was wrong. Through Mexico, Central America, and through Peru, to find a shaman is common. They're everywhere. They're easy to find anywhere you ask, in any village, right? Not in Mexico City or not in San Juan, not in the capital of in Lima, excuse me, not in the capitals, but in all other villages and smaller cities like Cusco in Peru, etc. Shamans are everywhere. not a belief system. It's more of a tradition. It's more of just a matter of fact. It's a part of the land and the culture for millennia. So, you have like some 2, 3, 4,000 years of shamans, and you had 500 years of Christianity. So, in essence, it's in the people itself. But with that said, I traveled, and I had the honor to meet with 3 teachers. I had the honor to meet a few dozen people, and in some cases, I felt that the people I was talking with were a little bit like tourist shamans, or
Yeah.
people that they were trying their best to provide for their family. Some of them were kind but not able. Some of them were clearly trying to make a buck. But some of them were absolutely clear to me, and I can say I was right now, looking back 20 years, because I'm still here. So my bet and my trusting these specific men and women was right on. So the essence, and not to make it too complicated, I'll talk about this one teacher who I still work with as a brother of mine, as a father of mine, has in many ways saved my life. But here I am. I'll say this: post-operation, 5 months after my operation, and I'm sitting in front of the shaman. His name is Don Francisco Flores. He is the elder of the Quero Nations people. The elders, the Quero Nation people, are essentially the ancestors of the Incas. They are the descendants of the Incas. The Quero Nation people were the medicine men and medicine women of the Incas. When they saw the conquistadors arrive, they did their coca leaf divination, and they were told that the conquistadors will bring an end to their language, to their culture, and to the way of seeing the world, and that they would take them out of the face of the earth. So a few hundred of them took off and went all the way up to the Andes, even higher than the Sacred Valley, which rests, and Cusco, which rests about 10 to 11,000 feet. They went up to 16 and 18,000 feet, and this is 1400s, and established 6 villages, the Quero Nation villages, in which they hid and survived for the last 500 years without anyone on the planet knowing of their existence.
Wow. That's
And
talent.
that's talent, that's shamanism for me. It's a deep knowledge of when to do what and how.
Yeah.
And they did not only simply save their lives, they saved their language, Quechua. This is an ancient language that was spoken from South Mexico all the way to the end of Patagonia and across all the islands from the Bahamas to Jamaica and all the way down the Virgin Islands, all that vicinity. 120 million people spoke Quechua, which means they also shared a cosmology and how they viewed the world, how they viewed their astrology, how they viewed what life is, and what are the main values of and virtues of how to live life. 120 million people have disappeared. The genocide that the conquistadors brought to Central and South America is beyond any other genocide known, and is not widely known. I wouldn't know this if I didn't travel there so much, be with these people, and just learn this history from the inside. Because, of course, as we know, history is written by the victors. But in my case, I was able to find some of these people that were hiding that were not the victors. They were the victims of this whole situation. So in 1970, they start coming down from the Andes. Don Francisco, who again is my main teacher, told me about when he was 25 and he came first time down into Cusco, that he saw for the first time electricity, running water, and cars. They knew nothing about streets, about buildings, about cars, about any of all the, of course, industrial revolution and technological revolution. As I was in front of Don Francisco, I literally fell on my knees when they told me that this is a guy that can really help you. He's genuine. He's amazing. He's kind. They were telling me all this great stuff. I fell on my knees and said, Don Francisco, please save me. I'm dying from cancer, and I have a 2-year-old boy back home who will grow without a father. And he touched me by my shoulders and he encouraged me to stand. And he said, listen, hermanito, my little brother, I can't heal you, but I can train you to become a shaman and you can heal yourself. Jumped up because this was aligning with what I had realized. It's like, oh my God, this is actually really happening. Even today, 20 years later, I say it and my hair is standing in such gratitude. And of course, gratitude and happiness to be still alive today. And it was the realization that, okay, well, I took the wrong road. And even if it was still a short time that I'd live, I would at least be able to apprentice with these amazing men and women of power. And it turns out that I became his best student. And I learned everything he would say. I would take notes, I would write, I would listen, I would ask. Fast forward and say that being in the study with the NIH meant that every 3 months for the first 2 years, I would return and do post-op CAT scans and MRIs. And we were watching these tumors disappear. Even in the first 6 months, my lungs had cleared out. I said, there's nothing in your lungs. The other kidney is becoming clear. Your liver seems to be just fine. Whatever it is you're doing, keep on doing it. And it was interesting because that would have not only my doctor, my surgeon come, who I deeply respect and owe my life to, and I will speak to this, but he would have all this group of doctors would come because they were amazed to see what they saw, because it wasn't a part of the statistics they had. The statistics they had is, okay, we'll do a surgery, but still, please don't get your hopes up. It doesn't look good at all. But again, like I said, trip after trip, back and forth from Peru, back to the NIH, having changed my entire lifestyle. From being a fashion and advertising photographer, I became a yoga teacher at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health. I changed my diet, I changed everything in my lifestyle. And my life had become a constant, from morning to night, night to morning, observation and effort towards bettering my health, something that I had not done so far in my life. As a photographer, I lived a fun life. I would eat fast food. We would eat out. There wasn't nothing there to filter out, you know. But with that said, again, things cleared out. Things cleared out. And in my second year of apprenticeship, I would go down and I would say, okay, what are we doing now? What are we doing? And Francisco would tell me exactly what we're doing. He'd say we'd go to this mountain or to this lake. And the deal without us ever exchanging any words about it was I would buy the tickets, I would provide the food, and I would also give him $100 a day when I was with him. And he never had asked for any of this. I just assumed, and that's what I was doing. And it turns out it was the best $100 a day I've ever spent in my entire life. So, and again, after 2 years, I said, what are we doing now? So what are we doing? I arrived, he said, you're going to start preparing to teach everything that I've taught you. You cannot be selfish. If you keep everything I'm giving you, he said to me, inside you, it's going to start becoming stale. And that staleness is then going to take away from the refreshment that you have from being how you are, and cancer can come back. So I said, well, how am I going to teach this? I'm just a white person. Like I don't know. I'm not lineage. I'm not of your tradition. I'm not of your tribe. I'm not. He stopped me from talking and he said, you will teach this in English. Is the answer to how I'm going to teach it.
Yeah.
And he, in some ways, I want to say forced me. I didn't have it. I didn't have an, another out. It was just like this was what I was doing. Everything he told me until that time, I would always say yes to, and I would do. He would say, "Go up on that tree and stay for 10 days," and I would do that. Let's sit in a cave for 3 days. I would do that. Let's go up the river. Like everything he said, I did, and everything in all these practices strengthened my personality, really awakened me to the fact of my inner thinking, and revealed to me that I didn't only have one voice in my head, but several, at least two voices. And one is we call now in our school, we call the narrator, a voice we all have in our head, which is something is happening. It's like, oh, now I'm talking to Addie, and now I have my computer on, and I'm looking out in the window, and whatever it is, we have a narrator. Whatever's happening in our life, our head, inside our head is repeating. And of course, the narrator doesn't only repeat what's happening, but also colors with idea of emotion, usually negative emotions or judgment towards our own self. I'm not good enough for this, I'm not tall enough for that, I'm not rich enough for that, or judgment towards other people. And that, it's like you say, now we know, and then we say in a school, if you don't know what voice it is, just listen to what it's saying.
Yeah.
If it's saying, you're doing great, and oh, look, this is a wonderful person, so nice to meet Addie, and if anything is positive, it's your inner shaman. If there's a slightest hint of negativity, it's your narrator. And
that's a really simple way to kind of distinguish.
Very simple, and that's all you need. It's all you need. If you're like judging yourself or anyone else, it's like that's not a voice you want to hear. You don't want to listen to it. It thinks it's smart. It's not. It's just negative. It's just this collective consciousness, judgment, and criticism. So that's what we did. I started and I opened the Jaguar path in 2007. By 2008, we were really up and running in Western Massachusetts, and by 2010, we were really bringing people were coming from around the United States, and we had taken it to Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, to the New York Open Center, to Yoga Journal. People were hearing about it. It caught fire. It moved like wildfire, and a lot of people started buzzing around it, and a lot of our students brought other students, and we expanded quite fast. And along then with the pandemic, when we took the school from being a studio in Lenox, Massachusetts, we put it online. Then we expanded even more. And at the moment, we have students that come from 9 or 10 different countries. We have doctors, therapists, nurses, yoga teachers, body workers, healers of sorts, Reiki masters, and even people that just really want to learn, or some people that come that really need to heal, that they're dealing with something, and they come to our school to study. Again, doctors and psychotherapists take all this work and all the tools that we share with them and really bring it directly into their practice.
Right.
In some ways, especially psychotherapists, because one of the things that I've learned is that at heart, what this work is it's deeply psychotherapeutic, with an additional element, which is the key element to why I survived and why it helps. It has this accelerated healing, because it is, again, psychotherapeutic at heart, but it defines and it affects immediately the hormonal system, the endocrine system, which is, when it comes to health, is one of the foundational tools of the body. How is your endocrine system going to support the immune system? What are the glands going to do? How are the internal organs going to respond? And what are these conversations that come up? So again, because I was not there as a tourist, but I was there to save my life. I was not there as a hippie or a new ager, but rather a quite grounded businessman and successful photographer of the modern world. So I didn't have hippie ideas or new age ideas. I was the skeptic of skeptics.
Okay.
I could afford to go there and have talks with people and talk about rainbows and just simply die, because there would be nothing behind it. So Again, by choice of Don Manuel, I would say Don Francisco, I have to and will just mention the name Don Manuel, an amazing modern, what we call curandero, healer of Cusco, Peru, who became deep friends and still are, and an amazing teacher from the jungle of Peru and deep in the jungle of the Amazon, close to the borders of Bolivia, an amazing ayahuasquero by the name of Maestro Panduro. I say that out loud because many people may know Maestro Panduro, anyone that's traveled down that way. All three, in many ways, are world renowned. And at the same time, my path just my path led me to them without even knowing. And I just want to give credit to mention all the names. But with Francisco, essentially, we really become close. He watched my son grow. I watched his children grow. When we moved here to Greece again a year ago, he came to give a blessing to our home. We talk at least once or twice a month on the phone. We get together once or twice a year. And this is, again, 19 years plus, 19 years of a friendship and a collaboration. And I've also, through these years, had the opportunity to give back. Because in turn, as he gave me my life, I was able to bring back groups and groups of people every year, and which we would offer some money, we would offer help to him and to the village. So there was a beautiful exchange in all this, with the heart of it being the exchange of heart-to-heart compassion, and an ally, creating a friendship of allies, a friendship with deep virtues of honesty and love and appreciation. From him, I've learned and I've created the three pillars of our school, the Jaguar path, are acceptance, admiration, and affection. Because it's here now that I'm sitting with him and we're doing these exercises up in the mountain next to the river, and I'm trying to see what wild energies he knows and how he is metaphysically powerful and see through me, etc. And he would always smile and nod, and or shake his head. It's like, no, it's not like that exactly. And I'm like, by the third or fourth year, I'm like, I'm going to squeeze it out of him. What is that strongest, most powerful healing energy a shaman has? What is their power? What's their secret, human power, superpower? And it was really, really clear that the superpower of these shamans is affection.
Oh,
And I go back and I look at studies at Harvard Medical, and we see that at Harvard Medical and the hospitals they did studies with, that all patients they actually went back 30, 40 years into records. All patients who had family visiting, sitting with them, giving them love, giving them that affection, were 100% had more chances of surviving than the people that were alone.
interesting.
Affection, affection, yeah. Because affection is not only just a virtue; it's an endocrinological state of being. You have to be affectionate with clarity, with love, like the affection you'll have for a cat, for a dog, for your child, for your grandparents, for your intimate partner, for your cousins, whatever it is, people that you really love and you can be really sweet with and you feel safe with, and you're safe both ways. It's just, it's beyond just a feeling. When you zoom in, it's a state of the endocrine system where the immune system is singing, the digestive tract is moving wonderfully, and the mitochondria are singing and dancing and doing their job, and the whole gut flora is again finding a balance and creating health in the gut and to the rest of the system of the body.
It sounds like similar to like you're sending every cell love, and your cells can't help but to like line up with that then. So very cool. Very cool. Um
This is
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, exactly that. It's that love, and it's the opposite of the narrator. You know, like, and if we think about it, I can think of myself in the past, and for our audience, if you think about it, it's like it's common in our culture to be thinking and saying, "Well, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this." And like you said, now when I'm thinking this inside my head, all my cells are listening.
Yep.
All going, wah, wah, wah. Okay, well, we're not worthy. The mitochondria slow down. The gut flora just goes out of balance. The endocrine system gets mixed up. Um, and here you are. Now, that's what I call this power they have. This power they have of affection and being in this state, though, takes training to get to. Because when we're talking about this level of affection, what does that mean? That means that I can look at you, I can look at the neighbor, I can look at any man or woman, child, older person, younger person, and say, I'm looking at myself. And I've learned to love myself. So I love this person in front of me. It's like, oh, well, what did you do with your ex-wife? Well, when I was trained, I learned to love her. It's like, I love myself. What did you do with those people that harmed you and then you were angry with for 10 years? I learned to love them because I'm not holding any negative thoughts, animosity, anger, regret, not an ounce of it in my body, because all these emotions are acidic emotions. They create an acidic environment in the body. They create the perfect environment for cancers to thrive in. They create the perfect environment for, and the, again, mitochondria, a big part of our survival, to be dysfunctional. They damage the flora of the gut, and therefore they all lead to dis-ease.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um,
So,
yeah. I have to say, one of the reasons I asked you to come on is I had watched a video of, I believe it's your wife, Nina.
yes.
Yeah, you and Nina. And it was it more than anything, it was the feel. I could feel the energy coming off the video. Um, and what I felt was there was so much, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, you guys are, there's clarity. Um, Obviously it's very loving, and it had such a unique feel. I got to be honest, we don't have a lot of that over here in the States right now. And so that's really what got me to bring you on. And I was just wondering, can you talk about, like, if somebody's to sign up and take this shamanism training? We don't have a lot of time. We can certainly do another part to this, but can you talk a little bit about what that looks like if someone signs up with you?
Absolutely. There's several ways that people work with us. The main part of the Jaguar path, the training itself, is a 9-month training that begins every November, and we meet 1 weekend a month for those 9 months. It's 9 months of the gestation period of being reborn. So we meet 1 weekend a month from November to June. And every weekend and every session that we have, we teach 2 shamanic tools. What we've done that I feel in many ways is unique is that we've co-created with a lot of help from Francisco, who not only gave us the tools, but also in that teaching and in helping me translate this in English or make it available for people in English. What we do is, like, every tool that I teach, first of all, I talk about the science of it. I describe it. I talk about the science. Then Nina and I will demonstrate it live on Zoom as we're with our students. And then we put people in the breakout rooms and they get to receive a healing and offer the healing. So in other words, every tool you learn, there's 4 ways it comes in. One is the handouts and me describing it. The second is seeing the demonstration of how the energy work is. The third is receiving the healing and knowing for yourself how that tool worked, have a first-hand experience. And the fourth is offering that tool to someone else and understanding how powerful you were in offering the tool. So it's really a deep experience, and we already have more than 1,000 graduates, and I'm not sure how many thousand people have come to weekend workshops, etc. This is something that has been tweaked and retweaked and retweaked, and it is a place that, with all hands up, what we hear from the students is absolutely life changing. By session 3, life begins to change. And the great thing is that the changes that we do inside, because again, psychotherapeutic tools that help me understand where I was stuck and or remember what I want to let go of, we offer tools that we didn't have in the Western world.
Yep.
We don't have these tools in the Western world, and we're sitting here and we're beating ourselves and we're trying, or we're living in anger, we're living in animosity, we're living in different psychological states without having the ability to actually transcend them, metamorphosize them, making something else. So what we do and what we say is that the shamans that we work with, the Karo people, they call themselves the wounded healers. And we say, great, you have wounds. Who doesn't? From small to big. And every wound, instead of creating more animosity and regret in me, I've come to bow to my cancer and to all the difficulties I may have had before. I bow and give great thanks because they've led me to understand. They've led me to learn what healing is. And when I talk to a person, may they be going through a difficult divorce, may be dealing with cancer, may they be dealing with having been let go of their job. It's all these things that I've experienced I personally have been at the bottom of. And now I can say, my brother, my sister, I know exactly what you're feeling. And someone offered me these steps. Here, let me teach you. So we produce healers that I don't say, I'm a great shaman, I heal people. When people say, Ray, save me, you know what I say, right? I say, I can't save you, but I can teach you to become a shaman and heal yourself and save yourself. Which is the most genuine, I want to say, way of approaching it. And I beyond strongly.
It's also the truth.
Also the truth.
Yeah.
It's also absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's
Well,
time.
I'm gonna need to do a part 2 with you because I think that you know, I want to paint a real clear picture of what you're up to because your results speak for themselves. And so I know that there's a lot of value here. So I'm gonna end it here. Let's come back. Go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing. I'm going to say
Yeah.
that this November 15th, we start the training this year. And November 20th, this is the second year in a row, we do our Thanksgiving here in Greece. Don Francisco will be here November 22nd to 29th for Thanksgiving, which is similar to what is called an Aini Despacho, a ceremony of giving thanks that the Caros had. And we combine them, and we have many students coming here. And when I say here, we're in the Peloponnese in front of the temple of Hippocrates in this very healing sacred valley. So the shamans of the sacred valley of Peru come to the sacred valley of Hippocrates healing. And the experience of being a week together is beyond, is healing, is empowering, is life-changing.
Awesome. Awesome. We're going to come back and, get the rest of the info out there. Thank you for telling us a little bit about what you do, and we'll see you again. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Adi.